What is going on, soccer card fiends? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day. And today we are here with what is the final World Cup qualifying roster that has been announced, dropped through SportsCenter today. Actually, there was a small little segment on it. They had some questions for Berhalter where he supplied some extra information for questions maybe I or others might have had. And it was a good time. The roster, I'm going to spoil it, not too surprising compared to what Greg's done in the past. I don't think that should really be too shocking to anyone, considering Greg likes to keep it pretty close to the vest in terms of who he calls in. So with that said, let's go ahead and get on into it. I'm going to talk about the roster in general, but then we'll break it down more in a sports card perspective, what I'm seeing as far as card values and how that could change. So let's hop on over there and discuss that now. All right, so here is the roster. We'll go ahead and start by talking about the goalkeepers. So here we have Ethan Horvath, Sean Johnson, and Zach Steffen. This shouldn't be all too surprising considering Matt Turner is not available to play. He still has a foot injury that is not frostbite from the Minnesota game. Some people speculated that and sort of rumored that. He played in preseason for the Revolution. That wouldn't have been the case if that was the case. So don't spread that rumor. Here, the only thing that's partially surprising is I guess that Gabriel Slonina isn't here. Some people kind of want him here because he's a young, promising 16, 17-year-old goalkeeper in the MLS. I don't think that really matters. He's not going to see the field, and we really don't need to coax him in. He's not going to switch to any other national team as far as I can tell, so there's really no need to bring him. Sean Johnson is more of a veteran presence, so that's fine. We'll go with the goalkeepers. That is perfectly fine. Really not too much to talk about there. That's what we expected. So defenders, we have Reggie Cannon, Serginho Dest, Aaron Long, Eric Palmer-Brown, Anthony Robinson, Miles Robinson, James Sands, DeAndre Yedlin, Walker Zimmerman. So here, the only real surprise, I guess, would be, well, actually, it'd be Eric Palmer-Brown. We haven't seen him yet for the USMNT in this World Cup qualifying cycle, so kind of surprising that he has to come in here. However, sort of given our center back situation with Chris Richards out and John Brooks exiled, it is what it is. I wouldn't expect to see him too much in regard to that. The other sort of question mark is that Serginho Dest did pick up a muscle injury today. It looked like sort of a thigh injury, and so we'll see if he's going to be able to play or not. If not, then we're either going to need Reggie Cannon or DeAndre Yedlin to fill in there, likely a combination of both, considering there's going to be some rotation within this window. So really nothing too surprising there. I mean, you can kind of bicker and complain about maybe certain players, but I think that's about what Greg's been doing, so that's not anything all too surprising. For midfielders, we have Kellen Acosta, Tyler Adams, Gianluca Busio, Luca De La Torre, Yunus Musa, and Christian Roldan. Christian Roldan being the odd one out, the meme where there's the combat fighters, the soldiers, and then the clown in the middle. That would be Roldan. 31 caps, 0 goals, pretty impressive in that regard. Beyond that, though, I mean, it sucks. Weston McKennie is out. He's been our best midfielder, so that's going to be a big loss. Gio Reyna is listed as a forward and probably won't even be able to start anyways, considering he's been coming off of a muscle injury. So with that said, we're going to have to make do with this midfield. That's going to be very interesting. I would imagine our main guys that will play will be Tyler Adams, Yunus Musa, and then one of Busio, Luca De La Torre, or Kellen Acosta, depending on how Greg wants to go about it. Should be a good mix of those guys. Roldan hopefully won't see the field, but you never know. For the forwards, we have Brendan Aronson, Paul Arriola, Jesus Ferreira, Jordan Morris, Jordan Pefok, Ricardo Pepi, Christian Pulisic, Gio Reyna, and Tim Weah. The surprises here would be Zardes isn't here. Hey, good job, Greg. You finally figured it out. I don't know if he just actually doesn't rate Zardes now, or he couldn't deal with the potential backlash that would have happened had he started a backup MLS striker. So I'm glad he isn't here, though. Really, no real surprises in there. I mean, the ones that people will kind of question would be Jordan Morris and Paul Arriola. That's reasonable. The one sort of other surprise is that Jordan Pefok's actually in this window, so that's good. Long time coming there. But also, I guess no Sargent. That's sort of another surprise. I don't know what Paul Arriola does better than Josh Sargent, to be honest with you. Same could probably, Jordan Morris has maybe an attribute or two where I could see it, but still, pretty disappointing. So that is the lineup. I'm going to go ahead and go on through sort of some stock up, stock down, and in terms of who I might gamble on. With the USMNT, I see it both in a short term and in a long term. And so who I'm gambling on might be for this window, but it might have sort of an edge to the long term. It really just depends. So we'll go with stock ups to start. Goalkeepers, I really don't care. To be honest, with goalkeepers and defenders, I wouldn't really buy too many of their cards. And if you did want to, go back and look at historic, like, best MLS, well, not MLS, but USMNT players. Most of them were MLS. But if you go back and look, I mean, even Tim Howard prices are like almost dwarfed by Gabriel Slonina right now, which is pretty wild. Like, Tim Howard's a god compared to Slonina. Maybe Slonina can be that one day, but he's not now. And that trend stays true for most of the goalkeepers and defenders. Like, if you go back for DeMarcus Beasley, I mean, pennies compared to anything now. So if you really want goalkeepers and defenders, go back. The only defenders I would say are even worth looking at, I would say Serginho Dest is a good one. He has a Topps rookie sticker that's relatively affordable. He also has Topps Museum RPAs that are very nice, in my opinion. And he's more of a wing back where he's going to get forward a lot. He's been deployed as that for Barcelona, and they have to actually try to keep him to, be a little bit more defensive. So he's one of those guys that actually can do something that will be of note. Also very flairful, very impressive, very fun to watch. So I would say that. Beyond that, Anthony Robinson's really the only other one to keep an eye on in terms of the USMNT defenders. His prices are pretty affordable. He does have sort of a lot of rookies, to be honest. I will say with goalkeepers and defenders, their upside in terms of prices is relatively tame, and their downside is they could go to zero. So be very careful with that risk-reward profile that you want to go with there. For the midfield, this is a little bit tougher. Yunus Musa prices are already really, really expensive, I'm not going to lie. So I don't think Yunus Musa can get the stock up. Christian Roldan, certainly not. Luca De La Torre, I don't even believe he has any cards yet. Gianluca Busio, maybe. Tyler Adams, maybe. I'm going to put this one just right in between Tyler Adams and Gianluca Busio as sort of they're both half decent buys. Gianluca Busio's in the Bowman set from 2020, so that's a relatively scarce set compared to most things, so he's kind of expensive. Tyler Adams probably isn't going to get the love he deserves because he's more of a defensive midfielder that kind of stomps out fires, so that's why I split that between the two of them. For forwards, as far as who I think is actually a decent buy here relative to their prices, I think that Jesus Ferreira is a good one considering he has a lot of what Greg Berhalter wants in a striker with the build-up play and the technicality he wants there. And Greg's shown a liking towards him recently. So I would say that could be a decent buy. He's also in that Bowman set and relatively affordable compared to some other guys in there. Along with that, Jordan Pefok, I think, could be that as well. Just sort of proving himself in the Swiss League at the moment. The one thing I will say with Pefok is this would be a very short-term to mid-term play. Long-term, he's already 26. He's not really in a good league. I don't see him having that high of a ceiling. And even if he started doing well, long term, I mean, he's not going to have that many fruitful years for the USMNT to really solidify his standing home with US fans. So that's a short-term play potentially. And then beyond that, I would go, between the rest of them, I would go with Tim Weah. He's been our best player for 2 or 3 windows. There's some people that I've been dealing with in YouTube comments and on Instagram that say Tim Weah shouldn't even be called up or shouldn't even start for us. And I think both of those ideas are ludicrous. He's been our best player for the last 2 or 3 windows. Without him, we would probably be down where Costa Rica and Panama are at right now. He's really been the bright spot in what's been a pretty rough run for us at this point. And people will cite his club form for the reason he shouldn't be playing, but his club form has nothing to do with how he plays for the USMNT. Lille has a new manager this year. They're doing much worse. He's also being deployed more as a right mid rather than a right winger or a striker. And they've also just went out and bought some people during the January window. So it happens. It happens. He's young. He's not getting as much time. Who cares? He's still amazing for us. And Greg goes with what he knows, what he's seen, and what he likes. And Tim Weah has been what we've seen and what we've liked lately. So I don't see that changing, especially when he's been this good and hasn't really shown any signs of regression with the USMNT. The only thing people see is he hasn't scored that much this year for Lille, and he's not playing that much. So he must be bad. That's not the case. So in terms of stock down, I'm just going to go goalkeepers in general. I wouldn't buy them if you want to. If you want to collect, I mean, again, I always say this, but if you want to collect, buy whoever you want, honestly. If you're trying to get a return on that, I don't know as much. For the stock down arrow, the rest of the defenders outside of Anthony Robinson and Serginho Dest. I mean, maybe there's some deals on some guys, but I don't really see it too much. Midfielders, I'll be a bit more picky. Kellen Acosta, he's got a lot of caps, I will be honest. So maybe there's something there if you really do like him. The one person, I mean, Christian Roldan's got a down arrow. Don't even touch his cards by all means. The rest of them, Kellen, if you wanna, I mean, I don't think you're gonna get a good return, but do what you want to do. Luca, he doesn't really have any cards yet, and the rest of them, I'm good with that. Eunice, I'm kind of middle of the pack on. Forwards, so I'm gonna put a down arrow next to Ricardo Pepi. Do not go all in on Pepi. If you wanna, do you, but Pepi prices, his Bowman base card is, at least whenever I was seeing it, it was $100 to $150. What's Pepi Bowman base cards going to go to? $400 or $500? Is that your hope? Because I find that very hard to believe. But if you wanna, he is on a relegation level Bundesliga side and doesn't get a ton of playing time. And when he does, he's not that good. So, man, the upside though. And then beyond that, for the other down arrow, I mean, I'm going to put one next to Paul Arriola. You shouldn't be buying him in the first place, but I'll do that just for the sake of it. I could put this next to Jordan Morris. I'm going to put that next to Jordan Morris as well as Brendan Aronson. People are going to hate me for this. I don't like Brendan. I really don't. Roast me in the comments if you want. It is what it is. The way I see it is I like Tim Weah way more than Brendan Aronson. The reason being, in a game where you need a leader to step up, where you need someone to take over a game, where you need a player that can absolutely take you to another level, Tim Weah can do that. He can bring the team with him. Brendan plays to the level of the team around him. He doesn't take the team to another level. And so in terms of players that I want to buy and hope and speculate on them turning into another level, I don't see that with Brendan. Realistically, he's a midfielder. He plays as a forward for us because he can't get into the midfield. And when he plays as a forward, it's essentially as a B squad player. So he's a backup winger. And people just don't want to accept that. I don't know why. Personally, I have a really nice Brendan Aronson Bowman coming back from PSA here soon. So if I was pumping my cards, I'd tell you to go out and buy Brendan. I don't think so. I'm not that big of a Brendan Aronson guy. If you guys are, again, roast me in the comments. That's what this is all about. Fun discussion. Tell me why I'm an idiot, and I'd love to hear. The only ones I didn't really touch on in the forwards are Christian Pulisic and Gio Reyna. They're both the highest level of USMNT guys, and they're pretty much priced according to that. So with that said, I wouldn't really worry too much about it. This arrow was hidden back here, but yeah, you get the idea. Down arrow right there. So that's it. That's the people I'd be looking out for, people I wouldn't be looking out for the USMNT as we head in this last window. Fingers crossed it all goes well. I know we all believe in Greg, and he's going to take us home because he is truly an elite level coach. So looking forward to it. Hopefully you guys enjoy the game starting next Thursday. Can't wait. I'll be all over Instagram. Feel free, and Twitter as well. Feel free to hit up those links in the description below to stay in touch, and we can talk and chat and do all that jazz over there. If you guys want to see more videos like this as soon as we go live, make sure to subscribe. Also leave a like if you enjoyed the video. And with that said, hopefully you guys have a wonderful day, and peace. Oh yeah, I got a haircut too.